The States of America will continue to do what we must do to protect our people. We will be vigilant and we will be relentless.
Until recently, the strategy has been to contain ISIS rather than defeat the group. ISIS, estimated to be between 10,000 and 17,000 militants strong and very well armed.
The U.S. president has diagnosed the Islamic State.
Rooting out a cancer like ISIL won't be easy and it won't be quick.
So don't you think that grouping all Muslims together, so you have fundamentalist religion, right, and then you have, you know, the average mainstream religion. It's same of Christianity, same of Judaism, definitely same of Muslims as well, right? So if you have our mainstream media, or if you have these very, very popular pundits making points about how all Muslims are the same, then yeah, I think that the average Muslim will feel discriminated against. They will feel as though the community hates them, and they're going to look for that belonging. And when you have fundamentalists that are basically preaching to them and saying, hey, you belong with us, we're going to take care of you, we're going to fight the good fight, I mean, that's going to sound appealing to them.
So when our right wing, you make an excellent point, when our right wing says it's either the majority of Muslims or all Muslims, or they just generalize about Muslims.
Right.
It helps the fundamentalists.
Young people living in Britain may feel like the British government has pressed them to a state where they become fearful to practice their religion. If you go to student Islamic societies in Britain, you know, they've been called, Theresa May called them a conveyor belt for terrorism. That sort of rhetoric coming from the British government, you know, is extraordinarily scary. So I'm not surprised that we see young people, you know, that are very afraid to practice their religion as they might.
It helps the fundamentalists. Because a girl sitting in whichever state they were in, right, thinks, oh, in Denver, instance, in Colorado, oh, I guess they're fighting me. So if they're fighting me, if they're fighting Muslims, then I should join the fight. And it turns out the people fighting back is ISIS, right?
Recently, 3 American girls were stopped in Germany en route to join ISIS in Turkey. In fact, many women are flocking to the Middle East to join ISIS. Estimates put the number in the hundreds.
Washington estimates as many as 300 Americans are now fighting with the Islamic State in Syria and Iraq. They could potentially pose a huge risk to U.S. security if they return from war zones and use skills learned abroad to carry out attacks at home.
Is not just American citizens fighting alongside ISIS. British citizens are doing the same. One is suspected in the murder of the American journalist.
It's James Wright Foley.
The execution of American journalist James Foley, apparently at the hands of a British citizen, one of hundreds of young men who have left the UK to join the brutal terrorist group ISIS.
17-year-old from Australia who has now become a new ISIS spokesman.
This message I deliver to you, the people of America. I deliver this message to you, the people of Britain. And I deliver this message to you, especially the people of Australia. And I say this about your coalition. You threaten us with this coalition of countries. Bring every nation that you wish to us. Bring every nation that you want to come and fight us. It means nothing to us. Whether it's 50 nations or 50,000 nations, it means nothing to us. Bring your planes. Bring everything you want to us, because it will not harm us. Why? Because we have Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is something that you do not have. To the leaders, to Obama, to Tony Abbott, I say this, these weapons that we have, these soldiers, we will not stop fighting. We will not put down our weapons until we reach your lands, until we take the head of every tyrant, and until the black flag is flying high in every single land, until we put the black flag on top of Buckingham Palace, until we put the black flag on top of the White House. We will not stop, and we will keep on fighting, and we will fight you, and we will defeat you bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Takbir! Takbir! Islam!
They see themselves as defenders of Islam in a war against non-believers. Their barbaric tactics have been glamorized on social media, a powerful recruitment tool that British authorities are now trying to crack down on. But the challenge is a formidable one. With every victory on the battlefield, ISIS's appeal grows, and many are concerned that it is only a matter of time before their jihad spreads beyond the Middle East.
This is a message to Canada and all the American Tawagheet. We are coming and we will destroy you. We are going for you, Barack Obama.
One thing that is striking about these jihadis is that some of them are religious novices. Maurice, 2 fighters from Britain reportedly bought copies of Islam for Dummies on Amazon. So clearly, they don't necessarily have a sophisticated understanding of Islamic theology. They're drawn to the idea of becoming warriors.
One of the principal reasons people join ISIS, especially from the West, is because they want to feel important. It's actually the same reason why we have our mass shooters in America. Like, oh yeah, nobody pays attention to me. Everybody disrespects me. I'm going to show them.
Right.
I'll shoot everybody, then they'll know me, right? The guy, Adam Lanza, who shot all the kids at the kindergarten, okay? He had all these articles about all the mass shooters.
Yeah.
And how famous they were.
They idolize them, which
Right.
is crazy.
So, and these people are thinking like, oh man, there's injustice that America is doing, and I'm going to be a hero, and I'm going to set it straight, right? And I'm going to go join ISIS, and I'm going to be really important. That's how stupid people think. That's how, unfortunately, a lot of stupid young people think,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
In a new propaganda video, this man, identified as Abu Abdurrahman al-Trinidadi, is referred to by ISIS as an American. He calls on Muslims to join the fight.
Please, all believers, come. Who can make it come? Come to Sham as soon as possible.
A senior U.S. intelligence official says the intelligence community is tracking this man, but cannot confirm he's an American.
My name is Abu Abdullah.
Another man in the video identifies himself as British. Tonight, there is growing concern among U.S. intelligence officials that the threat from ISIS could expand beyond the areas it controls now, to include attacks on Western and U.S. interests. The more immediate concern is about the ISIS threat to Europe and what that might mean for what one official called an eventual threat to the U.S. homeland. Intelligence officials say over the past few months, people associated with ISIS have been arrested in Spain and France for plotting attacks and constructing explosive devices. And they confirmed the shooter in the attack on the Jewish Museum in Brussels in May was a member of ISIS. There are urgent calls tonight for the U.S. to help contain the ISIS threat by arming Kurdish forces, now fighting vicious battles against ISIS in northern Iraq.
We're here to talk about the caliphate. It's a word that's been in the news recently because ISIS have declared one in Iraq and Syria. Some people agree with that, some people don't. And I want to know what all of your view is on the caliphate, what it means to you, if you think it's a good idea, what you think of ISIS's caliphate. And so if I can start by asking you each to tell me what the word, what the concept means to you.
For me, the caliphate is a government, a state which rules by the Quran and Sunnah, and those laws are over Muslims and non-Muslims, and there is one leader, and that state has borders, but those borders they expand and they literally annex other countries until the whole world is literally under that governing authority.
Are we going to get a caliphate?
Yes, this is a promise that was given to us, and a promise that is given by Allah, and a promise that was conveyed by the Prophet ﷺ. So for that reason, I have no question of a doubt that this will happen.
And you think it is happening, you're just not sure if ISIS are okay, are just?
I am not sure if ISIS are the ones, only because the news that we are getting is subjected to a lot of filters, as you know. So for that reason, I'm not sure. But if it is, I will have no qualms about giving my sort of pledge.
Why would you want to live under a caliphate? And why would you want to live under ISIS version of a caliphate?
When I look to Britain, and I can speak as well as an ex-non-Muslim, you know, issues like smoking, free mixing, music, and a society which is largely based on nudity, pornography, it's not something which any practicing Muslim would enjoy living under. So whether ISIS or any other state implements the caliphate, I think any practicing Muslim who hears that the caliphate has been implemented and the laws of the Quran and Sunnah are being established, they would flock to that place.
What about if they want to live under the law of their own God?
So what happens to people who don't want to live under Islam in your version
What
of the
happens to
caliphate?
those people who don't want to obey the law of Britain? they get arrested.
The main problem is this separation of a caliphate or an Islamic state to a system of governance. It's a very normal thing. It's actually a very real thing. It happened over hundreds of years. And I think this idea I think it's a very Orientalist idea that because it's something from the East or because it's something connected to Islam, that it's scary and it's killing people everywhere. Go to a country where there is a majority Muslim and and the leader is Muslim, which is, of course, if the majority is like that, this is the inclination that we're going to see. The people there are going to want to establish rule by Islam because this is going to be their inherent belief. And why should they not? And it's not something that we should be afraid of. I think we often describe the caliphate and the khilafah as something really, really scary. But in actuality, it's just, if you're looking at the Islamic State and then in its bigger group, a cluster of countries which share vested interests, which want to go by the similar principles or the same principles, why should they not work together and have a unified leader?
أمريكيين كثار طبعا موجودين، أكثرهم من البنات. يمكن أكثر من النصف عدد الرجال.
Are they white American women or are they Arab?
أمريكيات أبا عن جد. يعني هجرة جهاد يجون أمريكيات في أمريكا في ناس أصول أمريكيات أصلا هم نفسهم يجون يجاهدون يبون وش يعني بما يرددون أحلام أرض إسلامية دولة إسلامية وأشياء من هذا القبيل.
Why are women so eager to join a militant group that's so publicly anti-women? Well, the answer is complicated in that there isn't really just one reason. Once women successfully join ISIS, they usually cut off ties with their old life, leaving only a trail of mystery for their families to try to figure out. The main recruiting tool ISIS is using to attract women is social media. ISIS is active on both Twitter and Facebook and regularly releases online recruiting videos promising women a chance to join a new utopian society.
Sympathizers are posting pictures on Twitter in US cities with a message saying, "We are in your streets."
Girls are all from either they're of Somali or Sudanese descent, right? So they're Muslim, they need a sense of belonging, they probably feel like they've been discriminated against here in the United States, they probably feel disenfranchised. So they're looking for a sense of belonging, and ISIS is really, really successful with their social media outreach, basically convincing these young, impressionable girls that, hey, you know what, your people are being persecuted here in places like Syria, so you should join the fight. You're gonna be a good person, you're gonna be a hero, right? And they buy it.
I want to play for you a video of young children being recruited by ISIS. So why children? I mean, is this just propaganda, or are children this young fighting? I'll ask Mia first.
We have seen children as young as 7 holding up severed heads. We have seen children in some of the Vice videos, the Vice News videos about the Islamic Caliphate, showing children 9, 10, 11 years old being trained on automatic weaponry. So I don't think it's just about the propaganda. It's certainly about preparing the next generation and ensuring that these children hold some of the same values and ideology. It's a kind of brainwashing, but we are also seeing children as frontline fighters, and my worry is, going into the future, very young children as suicide bombers.